went to the Omaha Record Show. I found a bunch of great records. Keep on watching. Hey guys and gals, it's Hannah the Omaha Introvert. In this video I'm showing you my finds from the Omaha Record Show, which was last Sunday. I love doing these videos. I did not get any video of the record show at this time. You know, a girl's gotta focus on the task at hand, and my eyes were just in those record bins. I didn't even think about filming a short video there. It was right after when we got in the car to go home when I was like, oops, I failed on acquiring a video of this whole event, so I apologize. This was a better show than usual perhaps for Omaha. I'm going to show you a few heavy-hitting punk albums that I picked up, as well as some new wave, power pop, jangle pop, you know, the usual stuff you can expect from me if you've been a regular viewer of my channel for a while. However, I did find one jazz record, yes, me. So I will be showing that, but it's primarily 70s and 80s in this stack. I didn't want to film this video right after the show because I wanted to actually listen to all the records first and give somewhat of a review on each. That's kind of what I like to do. So anyway, as you know, I love record shows, and there was also a show in St. Joseph, Missouri the day before, which we could have attended, but I don't think my account could handle 2 shows in one weekend, you know what I mean? I have very little self-control these days, and since we have not been taking road trips lately and have none planned at the moment, I have been actually buying quite a bit of vinyl online and also using my store credit at Grapefruit Records. But and I'll show, you know, what I've been picking up later on. But let's just get into it. Step further into my office. Let's start with the Virgin Prunes, and this is their last studio LP. It's called The Moon Looked Down and Laughed, and as you can see there's some cover damage here on the front. So in my post-punk video I actually featured the first one behind me on my wall, If I Die, I Die. So I would recommend starting there with them. I just like them in general, but start there first. This is quite the bizarre listen in this album. I really do love the production though. There's like a cinematic and dramatic vibe to this record. They are on Touch and Go. This is like post-punk, dark cabaret, goth. Gavin Friday, the frontman, his vocals at times remind me of John Lydon from the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited. I really like the songs Don't Look Back and Love Lasts Forever. But overall, I really did enjoy this album, and I got it for a great price, probably because of the cover damage and the slight warp on the first track. So that's the first one I wanted to show. Next, I picked up some power pop from Pez Band. This, I believe, is their 3rd studio album, cover to cover. I feel like Pez Band were one of the more underrated power pop groups, like of the late 70s, early 80s. There's a good mix of like ballad tracks and rockin' songs. Stella Blue was really good. African Night, it's on Passport. Like I said, if you like that late 70s power pop stuff, check this one out. It came out in '79. I think my favorite of the 3 I have is this Laughing in the Dark, which I have displayed right there. It's kind of a cool cover. And they're from Oak Park, Illinois. If you like Shoes, Cheap Trick, etc., give Pez Band a try. Next we have the Lorries, otherwise known as Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry, which it seems like I've been talking about them in every single video lately. I don't know. This is a 12-inch EP that was still sealed. And I got this from a vendor. His name is Tommy. He's kind of an acquaintance too. I usually see him around at the Omaha Record Shows and such. This is on Homestead Records. But yeah, he gave me a smoking deal on 3 records at the show. So thank you, Tommy, if you're watching. But yeah, y'all probably know that I love this band so much by now. They've got that post-punk goth sound. There's 4 tracks on this. The last one is a live track. This was released in 1987. I just kind of pick up anything I see by them now. I did pick up another studio album of theirs that I have yet to show, probably in my next post-punk video, which might be after this video in a week or 2, so look out for that. But yeah, I'm just kind of obsessed with them. I love Chris Reed's vocals, the deep baritone vocals, so that was a nice surprising find here in Omaha. Next we've got some more power pop with the Windbreakers, and this is their album titled A Different Sort. I featured the Windbreakers in either my power pop or my jangle pop series. I can't quite remember which at this point, but it's in one of those series. And I did not have this one. I have pretty much every single other album of theirs. Terminal is probably my favorite LP that they put out. Bobby Sutliff, one of the members, was diagnosed with cancer and died recently. I actually find myself enjoying his contributions to the band the most, although Bobby Sutliff is not on this record. It's basically Tim Lee, which is fine. I just don't really connect with Tim Lee's vocals and songwriting as much as I do with Bobby Sutliff. Here's the label though, but it's still a fantastic listen. It's just missing Bobby, you know? Bobby came back to the band, I think, after this record with At Home with Bobby and Tim, which is an excellent album. So this is a fine album, but I just feel like Tim and Bobby are best as a collaborative team. But I really like the songs Knowing Me and We Never Understand. Those are great. So yeah, not my favorite Windbreakers record, but still very good. Next we have a pretty common record, but so I'll just talk about it briefly, but Missing Persons, I know. I didn't have this in my collection until now. Pretty essential new wave record with attention to detail. So even though I hardly play the drums anymore, I grew up playing them and I always pay attention to the drums on a record. And Terry Bozzio on this record, killer drummer, and it just gives this album some extra pizzazz in my opinion. This is on Capitol. And Dale Bozzio is the vocalist. So this is just awesome if you don't have it already, and I'm surprised I didn't own it till now, but I got a really great deal on it. But very influential to later bands with a female lead, like No Doubt, etc. There were 3 singles on this, right? Destination Unknown, Walking in LA, and Words. I really like US Drag too, but the whole thing, this is just a killer new wave record, like I said, and no complaints with any of the songs here really. So I don't know, if you don't have this one, I would keep talking it up because I do really like it. Next we have Kate Bush with The Dreaming, and I haven't spent enough time with this album to give it a full complete review. I listened to it once through while cooking, so I was a little preoccupied. That's another thing I wanted to mention. We got a second stereo setup upstairs, so I can get more enjoyment and use for my records, and I just love spinning a record when I'm cooking. So I'll probably do like a little bit of a tour of that setup later on, but that's been kind of exciting. So this record is split, the jacket on the bottom. Not a big deal because the record plays great. It's on this EMI label. So my first impression was that I really liked it, but I got like angry vibes from this record. She's just a visionary, right? You can tell where like Bjork and Tori Amos got their influences, like ground zero right here. So I would say maybe this is not the place to start if you're a totally new listener to Kate Bush. And by the way, it's taken me a really long time to warm up to Kate Bush and her work, but I decided to dive deeper. You know, me probably along with a lot of other people, you know, when Stranger Things, the whole craze was going on. And I admit, like, that's kind of when I was like, okay, like, I think it's time for me to get into her a little bit more as well. And thanks to Homer's Music, I picked up her reissue of Hounds of Love down there, which I just, yeah, that one's a masterpiece. With this album, I think she was only 24 when she made this record. It's just incredible. So I can't give like a thorough review on it or anything, but I just, yeah, it resonated with me. I really liked it. I can't wait to spend more time with it. I bought a jazz album, you guys, and this is kind of a rare occasion for me, truthfully. I know I don't show or talk about jazz that often, but sometimes I'll see something and it'll trigger my brain like, oh, I saw someone talk about that in a video, so I think I'll pick it up just based on word of mouth. But I picked up My Favorite Things by John Coltrane, and I actually do own a Love Supreme by John Coltrane back there. So I'm not totally clueless with jazz, but it's not my preferred genre. So this one was just calling out to me. I think I watched a recent video from John at Digital Gramophone, and he was talking about this record and saying like it's a great intro jazz record. I only have a few jazz records, by the way. I already loved the title track, so I figured, you know, let's just give this a try. So it's on Atlantic. This is a 1975 reissue, and it was a good price, so that's why I grabbed it. And I was pretty confident that this was going to be a safe purchase for me, and it was. I enjoyed it a lot. And so the title track, obviously, in Summertime, that also is a standout. Elvin Jones on drums, yeah, just dig it, man. This is really good. So yeah, you will see me pick up jazz on occasion, not too often, you guys, but I listen to it when the mood strikes me. So the next one, yeah, get rid of the outer sleeve so you can see the beauty of this jacket. Yes, I picked up Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power. Just look at how perfect the jacket is. I mean, I don't think I've seen a copy this pristine. And this is actually the 1976 or a 1976 pressing of Raw Power. I think I talked about this album a few months ago briefly because I picked up the remastered CD from like 1997. But yeah, I was just amazed to find this, and I got a pretty great price on it, so I couldn't pass it up. So most who watch my channel are familiar with Iggy and the Stooges, I'm pretty sure, so I'm not going to break any new ground with anything I have to say about this record, just that it's a pretty ace album. You know, sleazy, sludgy garage rock. The guitars are really up there in the front. I think James Williamson, I think he was new to the band. My favorite album of theirs, I think, it would have to be Funhouse, which I have on display behind me. So, had to pick that one up. Okay, next we've got kind of a blind buy for me. This is an album from the Suburbs. It's called Credit in Heaven. This is a band from Minneapolis. They've been compared to Talking Heads, so they're kind of artsy. This is an ambitious 2 LP album. There's some tasty funk on here. They're on Twin Tone, the famous Twin Tone label. Like I said, 2 LP. There's actually some humor on this album too. This was a very surprisingly good blind buy for me indeed. I would recommend checking them out. I think this is a highly rated album of theirs. Maybe their first 3 are really good, but I'm just starting my journey with them. So if you guys can recommend where I should go next with the Suburbs, do tell, do tell. This was a really exciting find too, coming off of the heels of my Australian bands video, which was my last video. So the Crystal Set. Funny thing about that video was my view count was really low compared to my other videos, but the comment section, or the comments, really exploded on it, which was interesting. So yeah, thanks to everyone who was like requesting that video and liked the video. I really got some amazing like recommendations from a few folks, and this was one of the recommendations that I decided to check out. And pretty cool that I found this at the Omaha show as well, right? Because you guys were just talking about them. So this is on the Red Eye Records label, which is neat. And this is an EP of theirs. It's called Cluster. There's a picture of the band on the back. So if you're into the church as much as I am, Russell Kilby is in this band, and Russell is Steve Kilby's brother, I believe. So Russell Kilby, he plays bass and vocals for the Crystal Set. Just stunning Australian jangle pop, college rock you need to hear. Just from the opening track, A Furious Mess, you will be hooked, I'm fairly certain. So thank you for the recommendations on the Crystal Set. Moving along with Human Sexual Response. This is kind of an odd but charming record. From the first track, you may be thinking, is this power pop? Because it kind of starts off that way, but there's also like punk and new wave on this record, so it's a little hard to classify. However, I do have their second album, which I again have on display, this one with the horse on it, In a Roman Mood, which is very good. But anyway, I found their first album here. Check out Jackie Onassis. They do actually a really good cover of Cool Jerk, which sometimes I'm not into covers, but this one is actually really well done. Yeah, if I didn't show the label, Passport. I'm glad I found this one finally. If you like quirky music from this period, you know, late 70s, early 80s, you're probably gonna get into this. But this is another Midnight Oil album I found. This is Red Sails in the Sunset. Little promo stamp on the back there. This is on Columbia. So this is the studio album before Diesel and Dust, and this was released in 1984. Prior to this, I only had 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, blah, 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 so on vinyl, and I showed it in my last video. This band is very, like, socially aware. Pretty strong melodies on this. I really like Best of Both Worlds and Sleep a lot. Also Bells and Horns in the Back of Beyond. So, yeah, I thought it was a strong, great record. I'm glad I found something else by them as I continue to explore their catalog. Oh, more Australian bands coming your way. Would you look at that? Yeah, I found Icehouse. So I'm really into this band now, again because of your recommendations. Sadly, I just never got around to checking out Icehouse before. I'm not entirely sure why, but they were just on the back burner, I guess. But this is their debut. This was also called Flowers, I believe, but this is a US press on Chrysalis. Really well executed new wave. Like, I love the title track, Walls, We Can Get Together, Not My Kind. Yeah, talk about a band having it together. I thought this was fantastic. So continuing with Icehouse, I also picked up their EP titled Fresco, and this one's also on Chrysalis. I think it was from 1982. I'm sold. Like, Over the Line, that's probably my favorite track on this record. Very good EP. I will be continuing to buy Icehouse. I'm fairly certain on that. Okay, some more new wave. And I believe I paid less than this, than the price that's on there. I think I paid, she gave me a deal for $7. Anyway, I know this is a pretty well-known new wave record, and it's one I've seen many times before, but yeah, the price was right. I usually see it for like $10 to $12 now. So $7, I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab it. And everyone knows the song Turning Japanese. This record has the melodies, the hooks, everything you want in a new wave pop record. Yeah, since it's so well known in the VC, I won't spend too much time talking about this one, but really good record. Glad to have that in the collection now. Couple more. Okay, so I found the first EP from a band called The Black Watch. What's cool is that John Frederick, he's the leader of the group, like the main member, still around. He sent me an email about a month or so ago saying that he found my channel and he enjoys it, and I want to give the band a shout out because they're a band that needs more recognition and attention. So this is their first EP, I believe, and what a joy to have found this. So before this, I knew of them, and I have their album Jiggery Pokery on CD, which is excellent, by the way, but their body of work is incredible and very expansive. They have like 20 or 21 albums under their belt. If you dig jangle pop, indie rock, power pop, your ears are gonna like them. So on this EP there's violin, and it just really enhances the album or the music, in my opinion. Very good. So this one, it might be a little bit rare. I mean, I'm not sure I've seen this one around before. So a few weeks ago, I also decided to pick up one of the reissues of Led Zeppelin 5. This is a remastered 10th anniversary edition of this album. I think it came out last year, this reissue. It's on red vinyl. Check out the song, I think, Emily, Are You Sleeping? Yeah, that one's awesome. Just great power pop melodies. I get some Beatles flashes on this album. Anyway, I just wanted to bring some attention to them here. I will leave a link to their Bandcamp down below in the description box, so you can maybe check them out, see if you dig them. So yeah, I thought it was really cool that John Frederick reached out to me. Okay, I've saved my Grail of the show for last. And I kind of had mixed feelings about this, mainly because the price wasn't quite right or nice, but it's one I don't see around too often. I don't even see reissues of this album anymore, so I grabbed it. And this is a Grail. Yes, I found Zen Arcade by Husker Du. I thought this was an original when I was there looking at the show, but it turns out it's not. It's a 1989 reissue. The way you can tell is there's a little price amount on the bottom of the spine. It says $12.98. So that's kind of how you know it's like a 1989 reissue, but that's okay. I wanted this for quite some time. So it's a 2 LP. Let's do this right here. So side 1. The labels are different colors on each side. So side 2. We've got side 3, which is silver, and then gold on side 4. So like I said, a little disappointed at the price I paid, but that can be a downside of going to the record shows. You can't check the specifics of every record. Yeah, kind of bummed that it's not an original, but I'm glad to have it anyway. So this was a big hole in my collection, and now I have Zen Arcade. Wanted to display Flip Your Wig behind me. I tried to like pick albums that were kind of related to this video. I forgot to point out Red Lorry and Yellow Lorry down there, talk about the weather, start with that record, see my post-punk video, but yeah, this is an album that just takes you on a ride. I don't think they should be just labeled as hardcore punk. Sure, it's noisy and raw, but Husker Du are also very melodic, and that's probably why I like them so much compared to other hardcore punk bands. And this is just an 80s classic. Definitely a favorite LP of the 80s for me. Hint, hint. I'm working on my top 100 or top 200 favorite albums or records of the 80s. So I don't know when I'll be rolling that out because I'm still working on it. But yeah, I really like the songs. Never Talking to You Again. The Biggest Lie. Pink Turns to Blue. And especially side 4. What a great closing side. Like Turn on the News and Reoccurring Dreams. Killer album right here. So just fire. Incredible. So yeah, this one was very exciting for me, just not the price. I think I got a little bit screwed on it. And I even emailed the vendor about that, but of course I didn't hear back. That's it. Hope you enjoyed seeing what I picked up at this Omaha Record Show. What have I been listening to lately? A lot of post-punk, a lot of Cocteau Twins, a lot of Susie and the Banshees, and also some punk from the 80s. So I've been acquiring a lot more post-punk gems, so a post-punk update video will probably be my next one. A lot of my viewers here seem to dig post-punk as much as I do, so stick around. And I always appreciate you watching. Thank you, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you again soon.